at Disneyland.
Points.
As a case study in what I believe is the coolest magician is that it's a certain personality type. Like guts. We have the night of our lives.
He is a magician.
Yeah. And Joel took us aside, our whole group, just
Fortunately, like having a jam band and playing the guitar, be looking for it because he knows that's what seems like a really.
There's nothing cool about it.
Just to give you the full picture, to expect people from you, so I look. Deceiving people, that's part of your act. You might a while like go
really
all out and wear a gray vest and necktie over it.
Magicians who have succeeded, and he wanted to do something involving.
He wanted to go to the.
It's fabulous.
We'll be
Keep
back.
It up.
We'll be back if you're there. Sort of out.
Sits down, doesn't say anything, and just looks around the room. And he had this the page number was 2 posting things. I imagine the future,
probably
the present listening us, basketball, and I kept score for the women's basketball.
They're not jeans, they were black.
A word, I understood that quality.
He called.
I think that's an interesting, simpler one to also consider is that, which was without saying.
He's got a magic show with doves at the Magic Castle. Was looking at Olivia Wilde the whole time. And
the whole time, huh?
Well, most of the time. You should have. The difference between him and other magicians was they're doing the same thing. The result, you can have a party inside of a telescope, and it's actually
pretty awesome.
I actually toured.
Of your tie should touch your kneecap.
So I had to keep time. Didn't I have a perception?
Very impressive.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. But
opportunity for that to happen
in Los Angeles
is the Magic Castle.
Magic, and is willing to pay the dues to hang out there and rub shoulders.
You just can't, you can't go all the way. It's good, the authenticity is all, as Maxwell and his character puts on a magic show in one of the episodes.
Well,
so you also have a meal if you want. So we had the meal, all the shows, about pretty much everything. There's the elephant in the room that no amount of smoke, mirrors, or branded, who's the most likely in our group to confront in this way. Neither of us were able to button our pants. As to all artistry, the moment it looks like you're trying.
Especially when it's a whole other group of the room that's stadium seating that has maybe 40 people. Magic, we'll get to that. But besides that, going out with a group of my friends, I'm Link Cowers.
He is a wizard.
But he's a wizard involving a man in a suit wearing coolness. And I'd experienced that with this guy. Before he would be done with the book and they would laugh at me.
No, this is how to do to me. And I like it. It's probably the only time that the tour of Mythicality
given us a great night, man.
But they were Gene-like. And he actually
had a denim-like
about the trip to the Magic Castle and how it is affecting.
Has like a gaunt face, like a very
with name that will not be spoken here.
I mean, they sent you this long email.
Don't want to be the kid who does magic. Been waiting in line, and then we walk in there, and then they're seated. That he could get you. You can put things like scarves and handkerchiefs and balls that you're gonna take out and blow people's minds. Probably dub. 2007, the same year.
So it's not, we're not saying we're cool. Just
coolmagician.com.
Are you serious?
My regular style of clothes, which in my case is the whole skater look.
Out loud.
Oh, you didn't say it out loud?
No, I didn't say it out loud because I wasn't gonna tell him, you know, under that such a broad heading. You know, blue and gold of the Buies Creek Deep. I think we set a record for the most.
You can have magic or you can be cool, but you can't have both. Because there's a lot of demand for different acts. And so we're standing in line for probably
at Venice Beach because we were shooting.
It was a funny story because we had to get dressed.
What if you pulled like
article? It's very easy to parody because
no self-awareness.
It's almost a parody of kids last year, and thought to myself, and they were like, you can have these telescopes with my. So we couldn't take photos. You can't take cameras in there. You can take your phones, but okay.
Give me another one. He's not actually a wizard. He's an actor.
Yeah.
Holm, who was a magician,
also named Michael. But
I think while there were still pages to comedic choice, teening magician, which I think we're gonna get into that.
We thought that was ironic.
We thought that was for acceptance, and he just commanded the room.
Jeans and a t-shirt. And it was
using
cool.
me as a subject.
And it was cool. What's cool anymore? Performing professionally, I wear a nice button-up.
We made up our minds that
It was old school.
since then.
But it was
But
as
it was
if
done is to create an act that connects. But the answer was no. A place called the Magic Castle.
But
Off.
yeah. But I think my whole point, if you're getting into magic because you want to be cool, it's a huge upline of how we think. And I feel let me say, I feel bad about this.
Sesame to the little owl.
Where the question was asked in 2007, footwear can conceal when it comes to cool.
Parts of curtain, owning it.
Right.
You know, it's like saying, okay, like a sand.
He had on black dress pants. He looked like a
Christy and I went back with my dad and his wife. And then
90 seconds.
that
spending a lot of time mastering this thing.
was Ontario,
That's Canada.
the Sony Center. Then Friday, November.
Beyond cool. And I feel
You can on television. I'm a good performer. There's other stuff there too.
he was the magic consultant on season 1.
Yeah.
What you said notwithstanding.
Grow.
He was working with you. I had an excuse to look back, and she was just too.
If you're so concerned about being cool, then feeling that you feel like you don't have of geekery.
So shout out.
So failed. Or
You can't come in.
oh.
And he was like, I call the equivalent of an affliction shirt is right now. Don't wear that of doves. Doves, man.
He just
I've never it's amazingly cool because it's amazingly awesome for all the reasons that you just stated.
There was an element of it that was amazing that how can
I do think it's important to establish the base of seance. And I think while he was still in character somewhat, I think he also was.
I was good. And he was telling us and I was like, I looked at Christy and I rolled my eyes. I was like.
It's with Link. Okay, something irredeemably, it talks about
each other at the table.
Half an hour.
45 minutes.
We were there for 8.5 hours, so that was. I am separate from this. I am here.
Orchestra. They really keep this thing, they try to keep it pristine.
One of our friends,
someone who is just really into get mesmerized, watch magic on magician that I have ever experienced.
See where it would hit me. It's something you do magic because you look like you're trying too hard. Just dress in an unassuming child are sitting in the middle, and there's like 12 seats in this room. And then I also acted in that.
Unassuming guy.
He just had a nice gray suit on with a white shirt. Operating thesis at this point in the conversation is that
as you're listening to this, it's, we took a 3.
I'm just saying that if I'm critiquing it.
YouTube, it's just you had knockoff of Mark in there. I'm like,
and I do agree with you that is changing, right? I mean, the whole geek culture has been, I think he was amping up on what you said earlier. So basically it's a mansion, a very large house to the wall. And there's can you sense the uncoolness? Let me continue.
Producing doves to this with again and again and again. And then he was producing things. If I flex a quad, I'm gonna burst the
friends had on pants that were of someone shop.
Version of the Randler wearing but some of it we enjoyed with a whole crap ton.
To hear this ear biscuit in its entire,
a friend of yours back,
is that magicians are cool, but not because of pill battle.
Forget about it.
Don't make that your goal. Don't seek to be, if you do things that are social.
Like a creepy looking.
This guy has self-proclaimed how there is a sense of, but he likes to give himself over to, which by the way, Olivia Wilde thought was hilarious. I mean, I would say.
There's a lot more theory. I think
we go into the room, you have to stand in line. In contrast to Zabrecki. So here's what I want, this is my premise. Not all magicians are.
Okay. Okay, skater boy.
Another guy said.
So Joel showed up under a tent.
And the best chick, man. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna
Tell you, and if you're curious what's going on with us, well.
All magicians cool though.
He did the feather on the nose.
Maybe it was your fifth time.
And then
I'm just saying that is, and
magic was happening to him. And he was getting freaked out.
Interchangeably.
Okay, that's cool.
No, I'm not. But there are, you know who you are, of what people traditionally think is cool and then maybe redefining that.
Magic Club.
Of course.
I guess decades ago. At that point.
But when we feel like we're about to cross some line of the magician's code.
And there was a woman,
We were at a meeting with Stevie. The three of us were at a meeting on the other
surface and all the way into coolness?
Well, crossover in the props. And neither of them are and he's an incredible magician.
Bongers.
The people we submit ourselves to when we have to get dressed these days.
And their coolness. So many different types of stand-up comedy. The up close, where was he hiding all those bags?
It's magic, man.
That's a great trick.
Magician, just do it. Just embrace.
To make you, with a stand-up comic.
I do believe that the way this trick works is that you're seated. And one of the guys in our group.
Neurosis as far as like.
This is important. My motive is ruin it if they were, and I don't want them to be. And when
we've already been through it, but it was, we just.
If you want to have a group of 12 people, will magicians ever be seen as cool? And it centers around this guy. We had to dress up. The problem was we had a meeting.
And so if magicianry is a subset, we'll just say that to piggyback on what you're saying, I started.
Magicians are pickpockets and some pickpockets are shooting. He was still consulting, but he's like a legitimate.
Oh yeah.
A yent. And there is a magic, and then the seance at the end of the night. Yeah.
But he did.
But I don't want to cross the line.
The more I was like fumbling for the page.
Right from the beginning, I was like, this man is
props, or then you start, and then you move further in the Venn diagram to just, yeah.
Isn't that funny?
But in order for him to actually do it in that scene, he had to be taught.
Authenticity. Perhaps that's why magic and cool can never mix. At some base level,
doesn't it?
And he went in there and he was like, "Daddy magician," really right in there watching
like
a
stadium
magician.
Seating, but just 15. Really cool. You have this scene.
And I'm Rhett this week, and above all, watch that.
He's a horrible showman, but he's a legitimate.
1:30 a.m.
Can you?
Is that while he is cool,
he's giving a thumbs up. Good luck with that. It's something that it's checking yourself. And I think magic is so scary. He was confident. Because
he just had on a nice fitting,
friendly,
not cool. Okay, I just listen.
So yeah, I've shared that sentiment. You
erase it. Be weird. You're trying to deceive people. You're doing things. I still think it was funny.
Like tying a knot in a rope and then pulling it, the knot.
We'll be back anyway.
I'll be back.
Be able to make that observation. They're functional. They do have a lot of pockets. Maybe Joel Ward. Totally different thing.
At one point I thought we were just gonna take a lift or something to get over there.
Okay, let me continue. There's a couple other points that I want you to consider. He continues.
Tricks themselves, if you're really good at it, it was
or even that it should
a cool persona than a stand-up comedian. I think is that much more difficult.
The trick is he takes a book and he begins flipping the process of being amazed by magic.
We're in Australia. We're doing I think the
every bit of it just to get ready.
And that still didn't, but I thought I could be a contortionist once I started pulling that
left
and disappears.
He's
like taking two rings and putting
the difference
them together.
Between me.
They deal in fashion. They say, well, I'm like, isn't this too tight? But he put together an entire story
that has page 223 ripped out and behind the frame. And it's a story, and start thinking
using a mirror,
and never will. A cool magician.
What I did, he would have.
Don't even know anything about astronomy. I'm one of those guys who says on
fedora.
I have carried a perception of magicians. We'll stop. So we're
zipping and buttoning pants and
trying to be anti.
Like what I'm saying and respond to it. It has that, it could have that, and he's like, okay.
If you're trying, well, I think this is kind of what the article's getting at. If you're trying really, really, out to Joel as well, that question.
Yeah.
It is.
With flesh and blood in a physical.
Do it.
Well, I think the Dove Man was.
Agreement.
And then we're seated at a table that's round. Boy, that makes me happy.
Because was cool. Like that trick, not the act. The trick was cool. I enjoyed something so thoroughly that I just began to laugh. And
the page is ripped out of the book. I'm like, well, when you're done.
When I wore all that stuff, and then we brought up the promo pictures, and you had the same stuff on. It was a wardrobe.
Again, it's like, I feel like.
And I didn't want my son to fall.
And like wink. There's nothing I could do in order to not fall into his trap. No matter it's following in our footsteps of turning 40. Okay, yeah, I think, I mean.
He is, the show's still on, right?
That's true. The carrot, his.
Hang my tie, and then like.
I've never been at chuck out. But then you really have to, like, I think a lot of the best, I've never had the guts to try either one. Honestly. And I think that's what yeah.
But first, we want to let you know.
Comedians. Because there's some similarities. Like, the thing about.
But you see where I'm coming from. I mean, I confess.
I'm into a stand-up comic, which, but both of these take a tremendous amount to be really good at everything.
Now, let me just take a short aside. The comedians that seem like they're doing a routine can perform magic.
Okay. He magically could get to the end of the book before I said, oh, I know how that was done.
Okay. Oh. Said he was upset that
you might have to.
Of an affliction.
Check it.
Too hard to look like you're fitting in, especially, I don't know what the equivalent. I'm with you.
Then I went.
Magical. To become a magician do involve kind of being alone. I just wear
another scene there, and Paige met him there. Magic tricks, there's a level of self-awareness.
The illusion, and at no point am I tempted to think that actual
Smith, the three of us went.
Mm-hmm. And hadn't we gone before that too?
It's great.
He's got a Twitter, go follow him there.
We are jerks,
okay.
by looking down our nose and saying, I'm cool. You can look on Instagram, and the other places where we're probably, welcome back to the freshness of a totally new ear biscuit.
Magician.
And we had to look him up because you have to have an N.
Again, is the same. However, he's actually doing it.
Rob Zabrecki.
I mean, look at that link. Look at his freaking Twitter icon.
I guess the fourth time was.
Do it again, and before you knew it, he had like 3 dandy or something like
shabby.
That. Shabby.
The word was shabby.
Shabby. Anyway, that Feldman pulled up.
A frame picture. Sound man is a certain type of person. Like if you work in, it wasn't exactly for
that. The thing that draws people to.
You're listening to this, if you're listening to it fresh, all of his tricks worked. No trick that I saw.
Back in 2015, so a few years old.
Or even that I could think.
Magician. And it is the mug that's
doing it. He never came close to.
I was in the back seat and get a trick. Now, don't do it to be cool, because it's not. But
hand. And then he kept
jeans and an affliction shirt or something. This is not a joke.
Or lack thereof.
It's serious. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? So he's much more exciting than that sounded.
We were on emblazoned upon it.
I could not see it, and I knew to
never talked. And it was something.
I wear a t-shirt, jeans, almost every time unless I go to a wedding or something. I do agree. I'm not trying to make fun of people for the way they dress, even though
November 9th, we're gonna be in Atlantic City, New Jersey at Caesars Atlantic City. Done so sincerely.
He was sincere, he wasn't being ironic. Now, even David Blaine, who we've actually seen do magic.
It's just the middle of the day. It's like, time to retuck my shirt in. And an old man will just unbutton so to adopt a demeanor of performance. Very sharp look. But I think this out.
Yeah.
Other than that. So we are on. So you're telling me that he says.
Practicing magic tricks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, The name of this article, by the way.
Have it. That's what really makes somebody cool. It really taps into your own insecurities, whatever they and the music.
One of Buddy System, because Paige Kennedy, we had to get dressed in transit on the shoes is the only thing you can wear.
Yeah.
Eventually he worked it out. There's a number of large rooms that are basically, you can see
the week break, so.
Weird good, and weird good is cool. Are magicians actually?
Turns out there's a lot of different things under the umbrella of close-up magic room, which were the constantly,
I think there's a few things
it
we
was
should
not
say.
cool.
There's
is what
a
I'm
few
saying.
things we should say. Who play sports as being cool, which I don't.
Rock-a-dove.
Excited that Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde, who is probably the best example.
It's not that simple, because you also gotta have the proper dress code. A long time, and everybody thought it was really funny.
It could be fun.
Check out his on.
About this, are we gonna get in trouble? Because we can't take photos. It's like I'm diminishing him by calling him cool, because he's beyond cool.
Doubled over, and you're putting on dress pants, and you know the dress pants that they got us in these.
Are the comedians that you just think that it feels like they're just really hard?
I just think it's really hard to do, man.
It is, but isn't that what every eligible guy / car not connecting?
Yeah, that it's not connecting. I mean, and that's why I draw the comparison. He constructed a brilliant comedy routine with your parents, and there was one magician. There's many different categories of stand-up comedians that, because 22, and I'm like, I found it. And then I look.
Hell, you're already doing this magic thing, which is this super attention-getting thing. If is already in question when you're doing something you're purposely public. But we did make it.
And they say, okay, go over to this bookshelf and say.
When he showed up, the woman who was not the woman he had spoken to on the phone, who was the woman
signed up for the Houdini seance,
yeah,
which happens in this room. Man, I
like dress pants.
This Disney character dude in a creepy attic, and basically in the heart of Hollywood, kind of up on this slope, bringing a top hat with a rabbit in it.
So we're leading right up, and we don't have a seat. And of course, I'm like, that's Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde. It's like the Magic Castle is one of them.
Now, I will start in the parking lot and like talking her into taking us through the heart of.
He was dressed perfectly for what he was doing.
35.
And then there's like a theater that's just flat and has like chairs, and it's got more of a called ahead of time and said, I'm letting you know that I am wearing.
You're gonna miss out.
If you want to be cool.
Tour of Mythicality in Australia, entertain you. I want you to introduce me to
think about magicians before we start talking about what.
And then I'm fumbling to
a band anymore because
the lack of self-awareness that you need in order to
start interacting with you. Really cool is what this guy says. Now, let me continue with this. Famous,
but I was waiting.
But I did wait for half an hour. Stop, and then he's supposed to stop on the page that he's at, and then
it just got.
He's like,
I'm no longer.
That is not. These are guys who are trying so hard
to be cool.
And is
animatronic, like he was looking around without blinking. And then he just.
That takes you out of the moment because you can see. Yeah.
And then the bookcase magically opens.
Can we talk?
I love nothing more, well, than potential Asian than me, but I can't quite get.
How it works, but.
I didn't sign anything, I don't think.
Yeah. I'm just saying that our society has deemed.
And he touched Lisa's nose. 19 other people and the performer? I mean, you
because. Funny aside, something that happened in that room is big magician in England.
Okay.
And stage
for doves and whatnot.
And that's where Dove Man was. He taken out of the illusion, that additional sense, I wouldn't have had a good time. So related to.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
You don't want that in your own house. Edgy coolness. And then, you can lose that mythicality. If you want to experience us live on a stage, is very problematic.
Because what I will say
has become a lane of cool.
Mm-hmm. Both had a laugh attack. Like, there are very few times in my life
as an audience member beforehand, you know.
Everything else, money, fame, and attention, but they can't be cool. You have
tempted the entire night at the Magic Castle. Take their wallets. No, is that what?
one step above who I'm performing.
Geekery has become associated with, not only can this guy do this really convincing magic trick to make his,
and again, I'm not saying this is right. I have to have the private room.
Into as a human through that experience was.
But not in the way that you're thinking.
Touched your nose, raise your hand. And they both raised their, we enjoyed, this is not what I expected you to read.
I'm not.
I think it's much more about.
Another guy, my modus.
And for many.
Don't become magicians because it requires being alone in your bedroom for hours and hours.
Just tell that story.
Like a joke-based comedian.
Don't do the authentic thing, but they do.
Don't worry about, just do magic.
That he's not a celebrity and he doesn't have a seat.
Difficult to figure out how long.
And we wrote a character.
I have necessarily any right to do this. I'm just doing it. I'm just saying.
He started.
A person who thought it was cool. It wasn't cool. I thought it was cool. It wasn't cool. Rhett and Link. Link is standing up, but the real celebrities are
a private. We may have a magician there with us. I don't know. It depends.
Depends on how this conversation. Tickets for those, they are moving pretty quickly. But if you want to, we don't make
that. We thought it was funny to make.
Zabrecki, cool. Let me give you some examples of what I consider. Say cool, I'm looking around the room and he made eye contact with me and immediately passed up. In the summer, shorts all the way. Can you imagine a magician in shorts?
Well, that's people, there's another.
The skills required.
Flipping the book and he was like, tell me when to stop.
All you had to
do.
And I'm like,
yes, of course. Sometimes.
Thanks,
cool. Zabrecki for
of thinking, man, the artistry, the craftsmanship.
I'm just making the point that touching Caroline.
And she loved you, man. You should have talked to her. Be viewed. Zabrecki's the pinnacle for us, at least that night.
I started to rethink.
Private room. Not always something that can be arranged. There's only a few places in the world that have it. Really trying, and he knows the secret. And also didn't look like he was trying to not try hard. He didn't have shorts on. He wouldn't have gotten in the Magic Castle if he did. Now, okay, so Zabrecki
those are two totally different skill sets. To like be an interpersonal performer, to adopt. Welcome to Ear Biscuits.
Try that for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Genes with a lot of at adopting.
We sense that the people who do magic are often seeking something: attention, street cred, power,
and know that they're having a better conversation. I was in a daze.
He's an eccentric dude. In a very good way.
Scored in the 80s.
To get like turntables. That's probably too old now.
Yeah, I don't know.
The butler for the Addams family.
To have a good 40th party. You can watch people react to magic on YouTube.
Here's the thing.
Anywhere with anything.
I have to behind lots of magic.
I agree that they don't need to be cool. I was actually just trying to appreciate the artist. Any one thing that long.
Not even work.
All right.
A guy that Feldman found. It's before both of us. That says, good luck with that.
Old age, because we are unapologetic. Anyway, he could see.
And then you were saying things like, I know what you're trying. Magic is happening, but I love
slippery slope. People in or entertain like an old man. You know how an old man, he'll like
great trick.
But the theme was a bit kidsy
of itself. Now, confession. People aren't listening. This is not a superficial.
I didn't check any boxes on the internet.
Definition of cool by me.
You're trying to present it as if wasn't. You eat dinner there at a certain point. We had like a private
road
because we were running late.
And
so Steve, he's driving.
And did you sense? I didn't sense.
Then we went with Julian.
Then looked at the person next to me and then he looks at Link and there's twinkle in his eyes. A birthday party here, and it looks you up and down.
Yeah. And so he's like, I got to do something. I got to create a world within which he told a story, and that authentically was very self-serious and dramatic. Laughing because
they're waiting and you know what I'm getting at? He's not the traditional understanding of cool. To get back to the question, our modus operandi is to go, sure, hello, even in 2007, wasn't cool. It was never cool. I was like, I just
feel horrible laughing. No. Don't forget to click the circular icon to subscribe.
Thanks for being your mythical best.
Kind of have to be there.
Yeah, right.
That was in the 4 times that I've gone. It's because people come through LA.
Analysis of magicians. This is just thinking about it through the lens.
And he sat down and he started doing card tricks right there in front of us.
Cool. If cool means to watch more of our daily show, Good Mythical Morning, click the playlist on the.
Like 1982, and it had not changed.
Yeah. Nothing against the guy.
This to me or something, I don't know what I said. And then I finally find 220.
That he is a cool magician. And I've just.
Check it.
I'm not making this up.
And it
have weird glasses that are obviously for effect. So that you should take all our advice with a grain of salt.
It's also in
alert.
I have new changing his intonation or expression.
The effort of filmmaking, right?
Right.
And the same thing applies in a sense. I think the thing that's cool is when you don't sense the desperation that someone's really
days.
Oh, they're
so tight.
Yeah. That goes into how many, okay? That's the traditional disposition that I've brought to this. In fact.
I feel like if I also turns out that Mike's second passion, your watch space. And
I say stop.
I said stop. And I have a theory that there's a much lower percent in Connecticut. So go to, we started to say more here on Ear Biscuits. Puppets with his hand, that was absolutely amazing. It wasn't actually magic.
Hold on.
That part may be. I think that's a component of
discovery. You can make doves. You can't even say start.
Really him is art. Doing that on purpose.
That's gonna let you know all of
type situation.
Yeah.
Magicians. Sleight of hands action or something. Add desperation to it that made it point.
It's superficial.
No searching.
Well, I don't know.
I've been with you and your parents.
Mm-hmm. I think it's about your magic speak to the whole Magic Castle, Mr.
But
he was like, I may not be so I could actually say that doing it and you're like wearing these cool clothes or whatever and you're trying understanding of like if somebody was like, is he a cool?
And so he this is there. We're a little bit late.
I'm glad we had 50 minutes to get across.
In my limited experience, a strong
you and do magic for you right there. You can
come see us.
I mean,
I
don't
couldn't
know.
find.
But in the traditional, he didn't look like he was trying too hard, and he has a. But it's also very difficult.
Who was very cheesy. It was like very Disney theme park.
But we experienced. That feels like the best way to do some magic that we couldn't even begin to figure out.
All of my attention was not home at Castle.
Yeah. Well, but
because of the reasons that you went into from that article. Owned on him at this moment, but I was Los Angeles because
could come out.
And immediately gripped me as cool.
Saying he is
but
doing
no vest.
On a late night show recently. Because
on Kimmel, I think.
Yeah, because the pants are too tight. Because everything was okay, he got in, but just that gives you, I mean, they take this seriously. So we knew, are you?
No, I'm saying because
magic, but then there's a close magic room which probably holds 15 people. So and how we're perceiving magicians.
He
black pants that look a little bit like
type of profession.
They're giving tips in forums on how to seem cool because an affliction t-shirt, and I found this forum.
Like he would just kind of very thin face, like you can see like the outline of his skull.
No. Just being a great magician does not make you cool. It's how you're a magician. I want to make sure that you are acceptable into the castle, which is what I am doing right now. And again,
we have seen people.
What I'm saying is, if you're getting
mime quality, I mean, my observation
Magicians aren't cool, and they shouldn't be. And it would.
this was I believe it's my 5th time going to the magic.
All right. She said, astronomy and astrology.
The sorceress?
Now that's not cool. If you want to be cool, you gotta be a freaking DJ, right? You gotta, which makes all kinds, very not, I'm going to speak with this man. He's like, you, sir.
And at that point,
nobody just gets into this place.
You can be like an honorary once he got out too.
And Exhibit B.
Because it fit.
Exhibit B, because Mike wanted to get there when it opened and he.
In their own words.
So the question was, what do you wear when you go out? Blow people's freaking minds. And then don't try to, that kind of show your dominance. And I'm gonna have to be like, son, you wanna, I don't agree with that.
Ethical warning, I'm just remembering, I had something to drink.
Geeky about that.
Cool or not?
One guy says, well, I'm 100% in a.
Like he would snap his head towards us and
people have an open conversation that everyone is a part of, which is what happened. It was beautiful.
That'd make you cool.
I'm saying magicians are cool, but
data point before that is just fairness.
But I think that's the beautiful thing about it. I think that my.
And then he said, if I just they were flying out of every orifice.
We were enjoying
of his 10th. We're gonna be in, oh goodness, the Foxwood Resort Casino.
To be like super cool in your approach. It seems too try hard.
I mean, it is in the, magicians don't do that, those are pickpockets.
Yeah, but I'm sure they.
Put us on the list, so to speak, and then granted us access into.
It's like, these guys are ready.
My attention was drawn to the playlist on the right. Everything, if I remember correctly. And he was the type of thing that you describe on a podcast and then your mind is blown, which is fabulous.
Yeah. It working? I'm just talking about it. Yeah.
Because I think this is one of the first tricks that stood out. Mythical.store, support entertainment. A member, as far as I understand it, can be an actual magician but then we were running so late, it was just like, Stevie, we just need you to take us. We're like supernatural phenomenon in the form. Because it's of stand-up comics is this like.
Him, you explained some things about him. He's not normal. He's weird. But
to be one and I failed. Played trumpet in 7th grade.
See Nathan from Nathan for You.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in the room.
You also saw me.
And then I see Link.
So
and other
we know
magicians.
You didn't watch Buddy System season 1, so we're explaining it. Watch videos on YouTube. I don't know if they exist, but I just don't think that's how.
That's what I just did.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that there is, look.
If they're not confident.
When you can see somebody implode to observe, but the tradition, he's not like, if somebody said, is he starting a band is not cool anymore.
And sometimes he would say jokes without, and I started flipping, but it needs to connect, but he has none of the showmanship required to be an that's such a your dad thing to say, by the way.
I feel bad about the tradition of just dressing like no way and come back repeatedly.
He just
has shifted that somewhat, but traditionally it's like, okay.
Really commit to being a magician. He had
when you're seated and your pants are untucked, and your shirt is untucked.
As if the creepy attic was doing magic on him, so he was
childlike.
It's childlike in terms of your suspension of disbelief and good luck with that.
Began to answer what they wear. And so
like telescopes.
The telescope.
To listen to styles of magicians that it's unfair to critique them.
Our minds.
Comes and sits down, and this guy.
Magicians in different contexts. My son was once at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Everybody does their part.
But to make it all the way through the orchestra all along with just a microphone.
Yeah.
But when you bring at people,
No, listen, no.
I mean, he hadn't
controllably
enter a land in euphoria, but and he's a very good, but I don't think you're supposed to. Did geekery bring it up closer to the surface?
Her instead of looking at you.
With 100% commitment that.
Unwavering.
Here we go, we're going into the Magic Castle. We meet up with our friends. And then he did some other tricks. He did something else. And then pockets. Or the lack of a character.
To the Magic Castle, and we were let in because once we zipped up, that's his theory.
I don't know what to say to that. I mean, and we ran the gamut. So hard. And magic that he could do was
so impressive.
Very self-aware.
Through the pages of the book, and Link is supposed to say, stop, and then you would say, stop.
But kind of difficult to change. Like, I mean, I'm to him when he started in a loud voice saying to whoever in the room would listen, version of you. It may be a totally fabricated version of a character.
And make sure you don't miss than just like a Lyft driver that I've never met.
Turns out it's pretty difficult. I mean,
you can zero in on it pretty fast.
He did a mind trick on me where I couldn't find the page. This is tough, right? I don't want to, okay.
Got it, especially based on how I think now, okay? But
you have to know someone who is a member and there for other people.
Directly from their heart.
But that's a certain type of comedian. There's
you need a 12-person round table and a private.
Actors, I mean, are have a lot of
I'd be like, let me.
He gave me the book. At that, give a shout out to him, man.
But that was probably dumb of us.
I think but it was mind blowing. But it made me my pants.
But the point of the art animatronic.
Right, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll speak at you again next week.
She just got a big kick out of you.
Well, I finally said stop.
I wanted to stay until it closed, which we were there.
And everybody was, and the more people
thinking about the filmmaking. So when there's bad,
it's unfortunate that
podcasts are available.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the.
It's kind of trying to break the mold a little bit. And then I was telling, because I needed every fantasy novel, The Magicians. They're engaged in a kind of public.
He isn't acting?
Well.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The thing about a few quotes from this. Cool kids.
Yeah, he did it 5 times. So after the second time, you
can have a top hat on.
Those reasons. Share this episode. We appreciate when you get the Ear Biscuits out.
And we saw him.
Mike had done research on this guy. Somehow he knew that this guy.
16 bags.
Where did all those?
Shows that there isn't a self-awareness. That's what makes it great. Like we got to talk.
And they were absolutely amazing. We were like screaming.
He looks like he's
an astronaut.
He's an astronaut. Rob's
mind blowing. Like on a scale of 0 to 100%, particulate a woman out of nothing. Like make a person.
Yeah. Touring
environments enough. There's a certain personality profile associated. Female assistant. Yeah, that was weird, and that because it's a public, it's play. And then he became a millionaire because every time he would put money bags in front of a mirror.
It's like magic. Like I get to the Northeast very often.
And find beauty and entertainment in all of it. Remember, I don't know what it's called, and he was like, read the word. And Lisa goes up and reads 223. He brought the two of them. They're both from our group up, like facing, not literally, but.
He is cool. He's not actually ahead of time and spoke.
And then he took a feather and he went.
It's 11 years ago in a forum and
looks like, if you've seen The Haunted Mansion, I mean, I even heard someone talking about it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, he was also a character. I didn't think that was. That you remember from earlier. And
but you see what I'm saying?
If he was putting on that suit on new information that has come to light.
I think the most compelling part of this is using the traditional understanding of what society is
difficult. They may actually be opposed. Because I think, let us know what you think.
Magicians, which defines them, is that they know things we don't. Because
with the magicians.
You don't have to be a magician to be a member?
No. He was a magician via our shared experience at a kind of akin to like a band kid. Like, okay, I play the saxophone.
Of being fooled. Because he is
a certain subset of personalities. But he was kind of scared, different reasons than they intended.
And if I was only basing my enjoyment into that category and I thought that maybe if he gets one trick, it's all he needs.
To work cut out for you.
Yeah.
So it's
Lev said.
Like I wear a bow tie and a tux
no.
and a top hat.
and build off of that.
Well, the thing that I tried to ahead of time.
Oh, he called ahead of time.
Wow.
Go to these parlors and there'll be like a magician set up and like a little
attic in a similar way to the dove guy.
And in his own mind.
Oh gosh.
Your attention. And let me also say that our good friend and our connection.
Best things happen.
Yeah, well.
I was a little inebriated.
It wasn't milk.
So I wasn't, saying magician is like saying stand-up comedian, but there's so
in front of people, whereas
is a certain, I think there's certain personality types that excel at that.
Okay.
They all legitimately had skills.
I knew how the shadow puppets were saying that they're cool and departing from, well, he goes.
I think it's that difficult because again,
you're not declaring
seem like Bruce Banner.
Well, it's like Nick Kroll broke his, busted his seam. He just looks like a nice guy and something like that. Sunglasses, a watch, and my eagle ring. Every time considered cool in the tradition. Master. I'm not gonna say anything. Of course I'll stand up, that's fine. I'm not gonna say anything. But you heard him, childlike make believe. I don't think that could ever be cool. Cool as at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And so
school colors, that is and there was no escaping it. There was
that mostly talked about the magician Dynamo, who's apparently a really
Arrested Development. And Job was
any desperation. Let me just say
form of magic.
David Blaine.
In addition to the far reaches of the galaxy.
Pockets. Just pick.
It's a different skill set than being really good at there's a mansion.
It's not a castle.
It's a mansion,
right.
I would say. It kind of
giving myself over to.
And then I'm like,
is that they if you try go home and I'm gonna tell
the skill to develop some magic tricks.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun that you can have at a magic. That's not cool.
The comedians that are cool, I just thought, this is not for me. You can talk to me about how bad of a parent I am. I typically don't do this.
That's such nonsensical memes out of your pocket.
But let me tell you right now, this was an Esquire.
And all in.
It's shallow, it doesn't ultimately matter. It's a privilege to just be standing up in the back of Stevie's car just to cool. Carrot Top is not cool. When he tried to get buff and get cool,
I did not say it.
Saying this stuff going on. He's not, he doesn't look like he should be.
And he could do, in our last trip to the Magic Castle, someone was like, man, I just keep thinking about it.
Luck with that because we know.
Just dumped it on us.
He had so many doves and.
Conversation goes. Now, we got a really good friend of ours, Mike, who, and you go over there and you whisper, open sesame, right? That was the magic word. That's what we were doing. We've now made our way into 04. Oh yeah.
For casual.
The mythical logo, which is the Randler.
At the round table of dim lighting, we will be exploring the question.
Sit down and say hardly anything.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. In the broad
magic.
Yeah, there is. Well, I wanted to set that magic. Do magic to everything from if you go up to a bar.
There we go.
For everyday performances, I just wear baggy.
It's hard to make that.
They're the
work.
ones that don't work. I was tastefully doing it. Like when he, but
Magic Castle is, if you don't know.
Ward, he blew our minds that night.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I've always done a cursory look at his website, which is in Comic Sans.
Desperate feel of, please respond to me.
And the comedians that seem desperate,
so to speak.
Or Dove.
You've really got your done. Yeah, there was a guy who did Shadow. It's got a cartoon, different magicians. So.
And there's also a restaurant, hence the big table.
AI quality to him, like an automaton, like collection button-ups.
And it wasn't.
On the drive to the Magic Castle to meet us, he probably would have had to zip and button it. His magic consisted of, and he starts walking towards me, and I'm like, oh.
Stuff.
But speaking of the tour, the challenge with Bo,
I think he may be misrepresenting his perception there. I think he just likes the thrill.
But we did experience somebody that I would say part of us laughing.
It was his style.
At his style.
We were laughing at
it was
to that part of the country covered.
You might see a little box or
way more people in the room than there are seats, but I also notice certain people cool, and typically they deem people many hours were put into getting this trick right so that it looked
I
that's why this table is
I
round.
stress out about who am I sitting next to and what conversation maybe in the world. I don't know. I think it's a pretty special place, but I've never seen the same magician there twice. And I'm under the impression these magicians are traveling.
I usually wear a regular white tee and jeans with a lot of pop.
Touching
both people in the same place. That's my guess. I had to retie my tie 4 times.
Yeah, but we could not, I mean, you know, and I just think I'm still growing.
Who's they, by the way?
The fashion, I think the intersection between himself.
He's an eccentric
comedians who figure out their persona in a way that's like, man, that person, there's many different lanes.
Hold on, but prop comedy moves into, now it's for quieticity and nothing magicians do is real.
I actually.
It's an important one.
Before we do, I will say.
Yeah, and then he was there when we were
funny.
Right.
But so even though he could do real magic, he could make that was just me being a numbskull.
I mean, it was a little bit of both.
He was doing it.
He knew that he
even.
We will talk about things and we'll get specific at time.
So I shushed him as you would shush a stranger. But it turns out it was booked up, so we couldn't make that happen. Yeah. But it all really as simple as I thought it would be.
We're gonna verbally process.
In our pants.
We get dropped off in front of the med.
And I'm not 6'7".
Yeah, for you, it should think.
But in that front seat.
Zabrecki, my friend, was not wearing anything like this.
And then he was in the middle and he got them to close their eyes.
It's a double negative. We can give
I use my phone and the light, or like his eyes would get big or his mouth would open for no reason. Because I think I was kind of looking down and at nothing.
All you had to do, the basis of
I didn't cringe, it's not here. It's been ripped out of the book.
And then he pointed.
Comics. So many different styles. And there's so many different,
I remembered it.
I had to remember it.
A magician should strive for?
And I think they are. I just do with the person behind the soundboard. And I
guess you'll be okay. Turns out when he showed
I didn't
up,
know he called it.
Cool guy.
Magic maker. Like I wouldn't even call him a magician. He actually has magical power.
Got worse.
Deep pushing the shirt tail down.
Yeah.
And then, it doesn't matter.
Magician's actually cool? Yeah.
Brecky. I'm gonna get into
and
it.
It's not just the roundness of the table. The roundness of the table is important, but you also, okay, so I love that.
You get at both of those things, I think is really.
So, make it happen, Captain.
And we may.
And then I'm one of the last people to come into the room and I see that there's
and skill and artistry. And I think it's Hollywood dark.
And I felt more comfortable changing clothes in a car with the blink of an eye. So we're standing there, tricks.
Okay.
He's read about them. He's fascinated, actually doing the trick.
Even though
and that was the distinction. Very cool black at the beginning of the night.
It can be teen.
That's right.
But then that was booked up.
Mount Wilson
is sharing our experience.
How's that for a teaser? We are probably posting.
Jacket, button-up shirt, tie,
deal.
Dress shoes.
Dress is an episode. Follow the links in the description to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else.
Yeah.
We're the Magic Castle. I'm pretty sure we said zooming way. Tucked in and put the belt on.
You go to the.
We looked good.
And you go to the.
Thing that it was the parts where it seemed like I may come up and just
running back to the car. Done one trick.
They're cool. They're beyond cool. The ones that aren't
like really not
a seance because you did
it. But you get some cool points for even being on that stage. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel for these people. I'm just saying that. And there's no quicker way to derail social acceptance than by, son.
You'd point. And he did some other tricks. And then he's like, skull and
he looks like he would be like
cheekbones.
The butler for the Addams Family.
Deep set a woman, he could.
Not cool.
Time I went, it was
amazing.
Again, magic tricks are not, it's not about being cool or not being cool. It's about a certain.
Go pants and a tee with a suit. Him creating doves out of thin air so much that we both.
And then they do their magic. Stage persona.
Something I like the Brecky. Zabrecki, Z-A-B-R. Go to that magic shop.
Back anyway, man. I love it. Get dressed up.
And thank you to Joel.
A few weeks, but we are currently, as you've seen both people intently, but to see if who he's touching.
But let me tell him my perspective of cool.
I think this is an important question. I think that
boy it is. Yeah.
And I mean, cause live, when you're in a room with
short sleeve shirt on top.
It.
Wow, that's harsh.
I mean, it was,
are you?
But today, based on this conversation.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, decades.
So in order to get into this place, single presentation.
Cool are the ones that are trying to be cool. I get it's again, I think I've established unless
oblivious to the fact that and the word in the upper left-hand corner of the book underneath the page number.
Appearing to want it and want it
up a really good illusion or really good tricks of eyes. Tuxedo, piercing gaze. He sits and unzip and then start going elbow. Now the house was just there on my phone in order to see because it was so dark.
I mean, there is no world in which cargo pants are cool. I mean, it's just, that's it.
It's interesting because you mentioned geekery, which I mean, involves zipping and buttoning the pants because we both get out of our car and then we're like.
What you're talking about is exactly the subject of this article.
Was like,
enjoy, but I don't want to be directly how he got you.
Because here's the thing.
In a traditionally like in person,
and it
close up, literally 2 feet away. It's some shirt is right now, and I really don't know what an eagle ring is.
Okay, now back to you, sir. It's like find the page
on what I
of doing really lame tricks, really underwhelming tricks.
But he was at Castle. There's like a line of people side of town on the west side, and then we had to drive through the late afternoon traffic to get back. And Jim Merritt wrote this article. After that, can I get this magic trick?
Hashtag ear biscuits, and hey, we can't give them the power of coolness because then they'll have everything. You still do that.
Things that stretch the limits of people's imagination. Just embrace that.
Affliction shirt or something.
How long it would be? He would be like, all you have to do is tell me when to stop. Then he would go, yes, they can be.
In addition to that, the Circus Maximus. And then Saturday, November.
Sometime that I will enjoy a magic show.
Believe that?
Okay. That's
I've never
8.5 who have been waiting for this moment for their entire life. We get out and just start tucking in and zipping up. I think you either have to be a magician or you have to be very knowledgeable.
It's a different type of member.
But I think that maybe this last thing, that's a data point, definitely.
Another, and like under a tent, he taught him how to do. But just to explain what the glasses disappear and then reappear on the other side of this mirror.
Performances, I'm normally in jeans.
To assume a character, and that may be the most authentic time. Eagle ring every time.
Pull in front of you down the right side.
Stadium seating, because it has a place called the Magic Castle. Now,
what do you wear? And then, presumably, magicians. I've had this perception about magicians and believe that the eagle ring's probably cool, even still.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Be a jerk.
We are jerks. Though.
Yeah.
But that blew up.
Draw them into the fold, and
we took our suits with us.
Yeah, I'm talking suit, pant.
The thing about magicians.
But can I just summarize that other?
Usually when I
turn the pages, and
font.
There we go.
And I know that he's jeans, but they're not jeans. Am I gonna be okay? And the woman said,
get an attic, and he was creeping around.
Did you sense desperation in that?
He never
heard him say this. What did he say to them? He didn't say to them. He said it really, really bad.
It's that when somebody's taught how to do it as a trick. Because every minute of thank you for re-listening to some older ones over the past.
Stay just for a second, just to give people the full picture of what we experienced. Dynamo, who
do many different things. And I'm not just talking about like something for my phone, be in the room with the people's minds.
The currency is authentic.
Literally, I was having to pull things off.
But
open him.
Nope. We talked to him from 5 p.m. to 1.
Unbelievably cheesy. I mean, magicians are like that. But it was just, there was a
R-E-C-K-Y.
Stations, am I just gonna be on the fringe of?
Magician's a type.
Well, as will come into play later.
Black suit with a simple white shirt, long your tie is.
You just can't show up and.
I don't try to keep up with it. I'm just saying that there are certain paths to it. Well, you can line and be the magician because I think less of them.
To think about stand-up
trick proceeds. Well, that took 7 minutes.
We're really excited because in order to draw people,
hard to be like relevant.
And it's cool versus 2 more sleeves to pull something out of. Doves are flying out of the thigh area now. So she finally gets 23. It was like a 400-page book, man. It's not easy to find 223. It took me, and I think, it's
when we like to give advice to people, and at the end of it, we like to say good.
I don't know.
I don't want Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde to know that 5 to 10 people will kind of gather around and watch him do some.
Kind of in the back, and you were further down.
That was
on the right side.
2 people.
It seems like some. Hold on, I've seen you in some of those shirts.
I never had an affliction shirt
for me, but I did appreciate how he went in for it. He did creep
right way. No, it wasn't cheesy. He didn't
want you to remember the page number. If I had a way to make it funny.
The record.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm sorry this is taking so long. I think you're doing, but then there was another, and that is skilled, then as cheesy as like prop comedy.
But that, yeah.
The way he was able to manipulate me to be the butt of the joke.
Cool.
Far and wide doing their thing, or their things.
They're trying to be cool, not because.
To experience the artistry of it. I mean, there was the guy on the main stage, the phone. And again, I applaud band kids, whatever, to pull that off and to blow people. A whole group of our friends, we went to the Magic Castle to celebrate his 40th birthday. Because it's not near.
Will be coming.
I will enjoy Women in Half.
I will stop. Yeah, that's who they are.
The fashion mall. I'm gonna use that as an example of just, it's.
The page. You do know that the numbers are in order. Like that's typically.
Up to character is the far reaches of.
Are involved in, says Lev Grossman, author of.
So we'll probably keep saying it now that we're selling longers. There's like multiple bars, there's multiple levels.
You don't think that you have an answer though.
I don't think I have an answer.
Okay, guys, he just looked like a person that would command
221, 220 trick with Lisa and Caroline, right? Extremely difficult. There's no denim quality to them. You give them your name or the name and sharp movements and no, get your hopes up. Who we actually devoted an entire episode of Good.
And you said.
No, I did not say at all.
It was beautiful. Done.
I thought you were gonna say like
lock, it's been 6 or 7 years.
It was a magician of sorts, and well, not of sorts. Mm-hmm.
But then he goes on to basically say that even
that's cool, man. If you can walk in demons where you played so much harder, because I think the starting point
on to talk about
experienced in a room with me.
Yeah.
But before I do, I'm not gonna castle in the 6 years that I've lived in Los Angeles.
If you're seen with your phone in picture mode, I don't know if they make you disappear. I don't know how.
They're into not being cool, which made him more entertaining.
That's precisely what I don't want to think, like when I'm watching a movie, I don't want to be, he was in this.
November 8th, we're gonna be in Toronto. Got a friend of yours who's into magic or hates magic. For both those, trick itself. And so, to be
kind of play magician, I love everything about his act.
He's of
we know a member, his name is Joel Ward.
All magicians can't be cool, and because we
were.
It was so cheesy.
Yeah, unbelievably cheesy. 3 before.
I've been with
Twitter.
I'm a little afraid to say I need to talk and make and go in. You can't even make reservations like it's a restaurant or something.
No. That we've got a new mug. Talk about Zabrecki.
Oh.
They actually are
A mug with it on it.
It's when you
We're viewing this through the lens of is it cool or not?
and I said,
and he stops, and then he it's like a novel looking book. Oh,
get the chance to go out and perform for friends. I'm wearing my everyday stuff, you know, bootcut show, especially like a close magician doing
tank top with ironically and whenever you go,
and it's all scheduled out. You get a schedule.
When he reached behind it, he would have double the money back.
And then he would put it in that hand, and then he would.
You really feel the tension if they're not commanding and if they're not tricked us. We were gonna accept it all for what it was. The classic Bowie's Creek Elementary.
In the Magic Kingdom.
Okay. Remembering this, talking about this magician that we saw on the main stage, which
we're pretty quickly, and then Zabrecki came out.
Yeah, so I'm standing there.
Themed way to do magic.
Humiliated me in front of everybody.
Zabrecki is his name.
Because you know what's cool. Years, I thought I knew the answer.
Yeah.
And I thought.
And
well, when you're doubled over, I think you're the tip.
You sure it's not your fourth?
I guess four.
I think you've been four, I've been. You know what I'm saying?
He should have went further.
Of this trick he did with you. So at one point he was like, he began cool at the time. You had him too. You told me that when we did Online Nation in 2007.
I mean, it was almost, I would say, a
sadly written lines, when there's badly delivered lines, when there's badly shot shots.
Say that they have a microphone, they're on a stage, they're basically saying, I want to. The other night with Mike's party. The first.
The Magic Castle, trying to get there for this very specific act that Mike wanted. There is actually, which was that act in itself.
He like had the fake glasses and he acted like he was in it.
You probably have to like write a paper about magic or something to show your appreciation. This isn't a magician. Got a Venn diagram between magicians and prop comedians, right? And there's.
But then at some point it was bought by these people who wanted to turn it into what you see.
It's all covered.
Yeah, it's all covered. Who was this ultra theatrical presentation.
Shirt, jeans, and sometimes a fedora.
Tourmythicality.com. There's all the comedy and like, my attention was drawn to him and I shushed him.
You were like.
I was like.
Pinnacle, right? I appreciate someone I knew.
The Magic Castle. But starts to speak in a way not much different than this.
For itself. Are still available, which is also true of cool people. They understand things that the rest of us don't.
I mean, you were like
loved it.
You were like dancing. You were like doing high knees.
I wanted to
and
run.
It was the reception area. They look at your pants, make sure.
Might as well have this caricatured approach to it. That.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Totally Tubular Man 66. Today I'm coming out with a brand new video. We're gonna be reacting to a person who reacted to Dylan the Dead's video. And it was pretty good, man. People wanted me to react to it, so that's what we're gonna do today. Let's get right into the news and the video.